and welcome back to another lovely Convoluted podcast. This is your host, Liz, and this is Tyrant Dominus, aka Jesus. And if it's your first time listening, follow and subscribe. If you don't want to, we're not making you. I know you guys missed me. And Jesus, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. So yeah, welcome back, Liz. I know everyone's missed us, but if you listen to the bonus episode, you get to hear exactly what Liz was been up to for these past roughly 2 weeks at this point since that. But yeah, so if you want to know everything overall, like the main details, you can listen to the bonus episode. But overall, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I am doing amazing. I was off the narcs for I was on narcs for a day and then off the narcs the next day. So I've only used like 2 of my pain meds out of the 15 tablets I was given. So, I mean, I'm good. I am so solid. I've been taking it easy. My mom let me drive yesterday afternoon. She's like, don't rush it. Just drive after work. We'll see how you feel.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm overall pretty good. I'm walking in solid. People are like, I had some funny. People were like happy to see me back at work. Some did a double take, which was even funnier. I wish I caught that on video because it was hilarious. Like, oh, you're there. I'm back.
So fast, so quick.
Yeah, they were actually pretty amazing. We're like, what the hell? I'm like, I had a feeling. I knew how I reacted to the C-section. I knew how I was going to react coming back into this. I'm like, this is less invasive of a C-section.
There you go. Also, the other note we would like to mention, yes, this year, 2023, we did not. I got like a few messages, not a lot, but there's a few messages that we did not do a 420 episode this year. Honestly, I completely forgot about it. Actually, we've all been
420 because I was like, I'm work. Woo!
You're already like loopy on other things at this point. But honestly, the honestly is I completely forgot about it. Like, there's usually some people I follow online that are like, they promote is a strong word. They mention it and it's like something, and I honestly, it wasn't until April 19th I was listening to a podcast myself, and then they mentioned, oh yeah, in like a couple days it's going to be 420. I'm like, wait a moment, holy shit, yeah, you're right. I think because we've been so busy these past couple weeks / months that we didn't have a chance to plan or prep something. Like, it's an interesting thing to do, and there's a few people in our audience that listen to those episodes for fun or like enjoying the festivities while listening to it, and I'm sorry we didn't do it this year, mostly just because we had Liz had a lot of things on her plate. I completely forgot myself. There's a bunch of things I had to deal with, but we'll try to do something next year, but like, we do apologize because I know we're trying. Fun fact, like I said, we're slowly getting there to get video on Spotify soon. And the best way you can help us is actually, Liz, I completely forgot to mention this during our like pre-discussion. So the best way to help us is currently, as far as Spotify, because this is how the way we distribute our show, it gets distributed on Spotify and then it gets moved around to like Google Podcasts.
Apple
what is
Podcasts?
it? Like, what's the iTunes one?
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all these different networks. So apparently the best way you can help us, and it's free. Like we mentioned this, like it's free to follow and subscribe on YouTube and stuff like that. But if you want to help us, if you're subscribed on YouTube, great. But try to help us by subscribing to Spotify, because if we can get to 100 follows on Spotify, we're set. We get like some really good benefits as far as the podcast is concerned. It makes it easier for us to get video up there, get better, like it just makes it more streamlined for us as a smaller podcasting group. So help us by following us on Spotify. It's free. And it definitely helps. And if you want to listen to those bonus episodes in the future, when they start piling up, then you can start paying for the subscription. But for sure, like just follow for free on Spotify. We're currently currently sitting at 47. We have 47 people who are actively
there.
like, and I know for sure we get more than 47 downloads an episode. So there are people out there who are listening to our show on Spotify that just don't follow us on Spotify. So just, help us out by just that simple follow button. And if you're following us Spotify, help us also on YouTube by helping subscribe over there. That helps us a lot on that side too. So it's a double thing. Like I said, it's free.
It's a little things. It helps us.
It helps us a lot. So yeah, that's kind of our only little bit of self-promotion or self-engagement, because we don't really we joke in the beginning of these things it's free to subscribe and follow, but it actually does help us along the way. Like I said, as far as the Spotify thing, getting us to 100 follows definitely will help us in the long run. As far as this podcast,
which you guys said you want, so come on, help us out.
And help.
I don't care. Hack your parents' phones and just say
Spotify follow.
Follow. Good. It's all
there
good.
You go. And if you want to help us a little bit, you can always put the auto download to just have it ready for you, so you don't have to worry about your data. But on also a little bit of a promotion today, as far as the release of this episode. The first inspirational shirt is out. Liz saw the mock-ups and she. What do you think? I
enjoy them. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. I love it.
No teasing the other two, because we're only going to do one every. So what do you think of the first one? The forgiveness shirt. We'll call it that. The forgiveness shirt. What are your thoughts on the forgiveness shirts?
I love the design. It's definitely got some morbid things to it, but you gotta laugh at it because it's it's us. It is a kind of us a thing for us. So definitely I would check it out. It's a lot. It's always fun. I love the poems. They're amazing. So do us a favor. Do us a solid. Buy one.
Exactly, and like I said, it's only going to be out for 5 weeks, and then there's going to be a 2-week break, and then the next release. So this one is going to be out till the end of May. The end of May will be
somewhere around that range.
So yeah, so the end of May will be the last week you can get this shirt. So make sure you get it before it's gone forever. But it's a fun one. It has a really fun poem. I can actually read the poem for those who want to. So
please do, just because I think that would kind of give it a moment.
So the shirt itself, the quote we think is valuable is, "If you die, ask for forgiveness." You might be wondering what that means. Well, here's a poem to help you pontificate this. Oh no, I kicked it quick. Someone find a priest, please. I need forgiveness. Take that as you will. Ponder what that means, because it is you better find that priest fast, because with the things happening these days, it's a crazy one. So let's jump into
a crazy couple weeks. We take a break and the shit hits the fan, right?
Yes. So we'll start with our first story, and we're going to be watching a video together. So listen up, guys. Give me 1 minute. Okay. And we're back.
I have to ask you, what is going on in the world right now? Though that's not fair. What is going on in America right now? It feels like this week specifically, everywhere you look, it was just people getting shot left and right for, they described it as being in the wrong place, wrong time, which is oversimplified. But it is something that we have to talk about, because over the last week or so, there have been so many stories with 4 specific horrible stories having a very similar theme. The first.
So yeah, so these were 4 different. These were a couple of stories that we were going to talk about individually originally, but at this point, they all have some of the same, basically storyline. If I would say, right, in a sense, where he, like Phil DeFranco mentioned, it's like wrong place in the wrong time. Sadly,
that's true. That's so scary nowadays.
So
there was another one today that I popped up. That was fun. Wrong car. Oops.
I think that's that the college girl one.
No, this is another one that happened just actually today or yesterday. person went into the gas station, went back into the wrong car. The person in the car shot him.
Okay. That's so let's find out. Yeah, it's fun.
First making big national headlines was Kansas City, Missouri, where a 16-year-old black teenager named Ralph Yarl accidentally went up to the wrong house to pick up his younger siblings. Right, it was a very simple mistake. Instead of going to Northeast 115th Terrace, he went to Northeast 115th Street, which also is just 1 block away.
Isn't that ridiculous? Where a single block, this happens to me with packages. We have 2 other homes near, literally a block away, like probably 2-minute walk. We at this point we know these neighbors because if we get their packages and vice versa, we just go and hand them over or leave them at their steps and stuff like that. But it's like ridiculous that a single block can be life or death at this point.
Literally. And at this
Before you
point,
get-
yes, we all know.
Realize his harmless mistake. He was shot in the head and arm by Andrew Lester, an 84-year-old white man, with prosecutors saying that Ralph didn't even cross the threshold into the home and there was no evidence that any words were exchanged before Lester just fired shots through a glass door. According to the criminal complaint, Lester told police he saw a black male, quote, pulling on the exterior storm door handle and thought the person was trying to break into his house. But Ralph, who luckily is expected to make a full recovery, told officers he didn't pull on the door, he just rang the doorbell. Now, Lester was initially taken into police custody but then released after 24 hours without charges, with that then resulting in protests.
Yeah, I believe it's because Missouri has stand your ground laws, if I'm remembering, which, well, that's a whole debate as far as like politics and stuff like that. But it's just one of those things where like I can see why the people rose up for this. It's disturbing, mostly when it's a family thing, and you are getting to the point where it's like you almost lose your child at this point.
Yeah, well,
Listen,
that happened with a 20-year-old.
So let's continue.
Spread outrage on social media, but then on Tuesday, he was charged with felony assault in the first degree and armed criminal action, with Lester there pleading not guilty and then being released on $200,000 bail. And very notably here, many people, including Ralph's lawyer, have urged prosecutors to file an additional hate crime charge. And while the prosecuting attorney did say there was a racial component to the case, he also noted that the hate crime charge is actually a lesser felony than the charges they decided to bring against Lester, and adding it could risk double jeopardy. But again, that was just one of the stories this week.
That was just one. That was
Just one, exactly. There's so many more. Oh, God.
Just days later, 20-year-old Kaylin Gill is being shot and killed in upstate New York after a group of friends accidentally drove down the wrong driveway while looking for another friend's house.
And this one, just going to pick up a friend and end up in the wrong street. No, that there is a joke to say that you end up in the wrong hood and you end up with holes in your car and in your body. But sometimes when you're like, you think it's a relatively safe neighborhood, like it just like
The driveway, for fuck's sake.
It
wasn't like. Go ahead.
No, you go for it. You had something to say.
No, it's just like it's the wrong driveway. For fuck's sake, it's not like you're. I don't know. It's just there's so many fucked up things to this that's been happening. I'm sorry.
Authorities, the group was driving in a caravan of 2 cars and a motorcycle, but they began to leave when they realized their mistake. In fact, the first 2 vehicles had already turned around to leave, and the last car, which Kaylin was in, it was doing the exact same when 65-year-old Kevin Monahan stepped out of his house and fired 2 shots. And police believe that none of the friends exited the car or had any interaction with Monahan before shots were fired. And so as a result, he's now been charged with murder and denied bail.
He just saw randomly, never had any interaction, just ended up in the wrong, was it driveway?
Wrong driveway. It was literally the wrong driveway. She was turning around in the wrong freaking driveway because they were looking for and she gets shot and loses her life. 20 years old. Damn it. Fuck.
Like I'll be honest. I've done that a couple times where like I end up in the wrong street. So I just use like, there's a roughly an empty driveway. Use it up to back up, and it could be a lot simpler than driving an entire street circle. But it seems like nowadays is like trying to do a simple, what is it, an L turn? No, not an L turn.
U-turn, a simple U-turn essentially, or a 3-point turn.
3-point turn. That's what it is. A 3-point turn can end up with you not being on this planet anymore.
Bail. Then, one day after those charges were announced, you had 2 cheerleaders shot, one critically injured in a supermarket parking lot in Texas after one of the girls accidentally got into the wrong car.
Oh my God. Seriously.
So this one, have you ever, okay, we have a story in our friend group of someone who ended up inside inside someone in the wrong car. To this day, we still make that joke. Mostly because even my car is a very generic like car. And where I park for work and stuff, there's always one or two other vehicles exactly same model and color. And there's been a few times where I've pulled the handle to the wrong car. But have you ever had this situation where you accidentally went into the wrong car?
I've almost pulled the thing and realized it wasn't my car.
Or have you, like, a friend's car? Like, you knew your friend's car?
Nope. I knew exactly what I was looking at, so I was like, "Oh,
but
I'm
yeah,
good."
but yeah, we have like I said, we had a story of a friend who ended up, I think more than once actually, ended up in this wrong person's car. And actually, one time, there was a person inside the car when they got in the back seat.
Jesus.
But
Oops, wrong car, my bad.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes all you got to do is say like, "Ooh, okay." But like, it seems like nowadays you're just like, there's no, "Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies, wrong vehicle." Now it's like, no words. You just you get filled with lead.
You know, it's just crazy shit.
All right.
The cheerleader named Heather Roth saying in an Instagram live that she was the one who mistook the car for her own, opening the door and then retreating quickly to a friend's car when
That's like, oh yeah, she like, yeah, oh, it's my fault. That I did the wrong thing. That sounds like responsible.
she saw a man sitting in the passenger seat. She then said that the man approached her friend's vehicle and she had rolled down her window to apologize when he just started shooting. And according to court documents, a manager at the supermarket also told police he saw the suspect, quote, shoot at the vehicle multiple times before fleeing the area. And there, police saying they worked through the night to identify and track down the suspect, who they later identified as 25-year-old Pedro Tello Rodriguez Jr., and they charged him with deadly conduct, which is a third-degree felony. And then the fourth.
So just start going with that story. The third story alone, just like, I get it. Like, if someone like got into my car and just ran away a little bit, I depending on how I felt, it seems it would have been malicious, maybe. Going to the like, hey, what were you trying to do? Like, and they apologize. That's fine. But also that can be dangerous in itself, because you can take it from the other point where they could, like, you going into another person's car, going to that person's car, can end up with you being shot.
No, I just never know.
Like, and this is like a grocery store parking lot, guys. Like,
You would think it would be relatively safe.
like all you have to do is worry about people driving a little too fast in the parking lot or roaming carts. Okay, and then the fourth story we were going to talk about.
High-profile incident that we had came out of North Carolina, where on Tuesday you had a man shoot a 6-year-old girl and several others, reportedly because a basketball rolled into his yard. Now there, few details have been released so far, with police saying that one man and one child were seriously injured, one woman was grazed by a bullet, and another man was shot at but not injured. Authorities also didn't identify the victims, but local media have identified them as 6-year-old Kinsley White and her parents, William White and Ashley Hildebrand. Officials have also not officially said what prompted the shooting, but neighbors have told reporters that several young children were just playing basketball when their ball rolled into the yard of 24-year-old Robert Louis Singleton.
Like, how many times have like a ball or a toy?
I've lost baseballs, I've lost basketballs, I've lost soccer balls, I've lost volleyballs. So many times because I've gone into a neighbor's yards. Then the guy next door had golf balls. Like, come on, like that thing came in our yard all the time. Oh my god, this is like crazy shit, dude. Like, I want to go back to the 90s where we just felt a little bit safer than this shit, dude. Just a little bit safer. Fuck.
Him then responding by running down the street, firing at a neighbor, and then approaching Kinsley, who was just playing outside in her yard, and shooting her in the face. Singletary then shooting her father, who ran over to protect her, while another bullet grazed her mother. And family members saying they saw Singletary chasing William, who collapsed bleeding on the ground and is still in the hospital. Now, as far as Kinsley, luckily she's alive. She's also been released from the hospital after doctors removed bullet fragments from her cheek. And the kindergartner giving an emotional interview to local reporters.
Why did you shoot my daddy and me? Why did you shoot a kid's dad?
And as far as Singletary, he fled the scene after attacking all these innocent people, and as of recording, he's still at large. With a manhunt underway, and he's wanted on 4 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill or inflicting serious injury, and 1 count of possession of a firearm by a felon. And very notably here, before all this, Singletary was already awaiting trial on felony charges from an incident back in December where he allegedly beat his girlfriend in the head with a mini sledgehammer, with the men allegedly not letting her leave his apartment until she cleaned up the evidence. You know, a guy who should definitely still be out there in the streets with the public. And in a world and a country that seemingly does not want to change, I don't know what else to say other than this is America. And then
There we go. That's the best way to put it. Give us one moment, everyone. There you guys go. So, what were you saying?
I'm just so disgusted how this is our world coming to.
Or this is our
you came
country,
in my wrong
basically.
yard. You came into the wrong car. You came in like bam, bam, bam. I guess it helps with population, but damn, shit.
So as
Just
far
some of the things that are innocent.
So as far as the last story is concerned, a little bit of an update because that's it's a more recent story. The father is making a full recovery for the most part, and no longer in critical condition, but he's doing better. He will be back and able to, back with his family in the near future. But yeah, it is disappointing that this is, and here's the thing, and these are just some of the stories that get publicized. There's like stories like this happen every day. This is a daily occurrence in America. This is not us doing a discussion about gun politics and everything. It's just one of those things that we just want to talk about because it's ridiculous how some of these small stupidity things can end you up in the hospital or like 6 feet under. Like, what was the first one? Going to the wrong street to pick up your siblings. 1 street over. Going into the wrong...
Apparently, he was convicted for murder. He's a convicted murderer.
Who? The final one?
Lester. That first one. That one in the wrong house.
Okay, interesting.
I just saw it on the articles, guys. I'm doing other stuff.
Okay, and then so either going to the wrong house, just 1 block over, going to into a wrong driveway, getting to someone else's car. That in itself is a little bit like, you got to really be careful on that one. But still, one of our friends have done it, and some, luckily they're still alive and kicking. And then just having a ball end up in someone else's yard, and mostly to a child that young, a kindergartner basically. Luckily,
yeah, it's just really upsetting. It's really it's scary, Not only kids are now like basically afraid to go to school, afraid to play outside now. I want to go back to the 90s where we were at least felt a little safe, and our neighbors didn't whip out a gun just because our basketball went into the wrong yard. Jesus.
Can't help you there, Liz. Can't help you there.
I know. I dream of the day.
But it's one of those things where it's like I don't see any of this getting any better. We'll be probably seeing more news stories. Well, we won't be trying to cover them unless they're more as ridiculous as some of these stories are. Like I said, most of the time when we're listening to these stories that make quote national news, it's just because of how outrageous. Because like I mentioned earlier, some of the stories that are happening, they're like I said, they're shootings like this maybe 1 to 5 times a day that we don't hear about at all, just because they just don't make national news where they're not as ridiculous. And it's not, and we're not a news show. We're a comedy news show. We're not serious. But we like to inform you guys of what's happening and how stupid some of this stuff is, just like this. So unless Liz wants to have any final thoughts on this thing, we can jump in.
I guess we need to get life insurance policies on our lives and on our children.
Oh my God, the life insurance on children. Oh my God, you basically have to now. You got to give life insurance to your kids. Or yeah,
just for safety reasons, because you never know. Just like, I don't know, it just really is scary to think about. Like, I never thought about doing it, but now like the things are just getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And yeah, it's just like the kids were banging our window last night because they knew Ursa was in the room. I was like, Jesus.
or
I was
the,
like, what the fuck? Why would somebody banging on our windows?
and then when you think about it, how expensive thing is, like how expensive it is to bury a child. You just
Oh, just burying a human being in general. I think cremation is the way to go.
I think we all voted. I think we both voted on that for our finale. But yeah, if anyone wants to hear about why we came up with it, I think we talked about it in a bonus episode why we chose cremation. So yeah, if you guys want to know our full discussion of why we chose that, there's a full like bonus episode where we talked about shit like that. It's a bit morbid, but that's why it's behind the paywall. But we gave our honest opinions on that one. But anyways, yeah, it's like talking about money actually and doing something local.
God,
Let's talk about this one. Go ahead, Liz. I'll let you just time this one in.
Yes, I read this one. This was crazy, guys. I don't know.
And I missed it. I can't believe I missed it.
I know, right? I don't know. I must have been sleeping or something at that point. I don't know. Maybe you were too. Oregon man says he threw $200,000 from the car to bless, quote unquote, bless others.
Not a
Family
single fuck
claims
was
he
given this
drained
day.
shared bank accounts.
And look at that
Authorities
shit.
in Oregon says a man allegedly emptied his family shared bank accounts before or thrown thousands of dollars in the cash onto a local highway. Oregon State policeman said the man was identified as Colin Davis McCarthy, 38, tossed the money out of his car Tuesday evening on Interstate 5 near milepost 192. Oh, we're ways away from that. That'd be fun. They might, with the wind might track it up here. Who knows? The Eugene man told responding officers that he was doing well and wanted to bless others with gifts of money, according to CBS affiliated KBL and NBC affiliate KMTR. OSP did not immediately respond to people's request for comment. Several motorists stopped to grab some of the money thrown from the man's car, per reports. However, OSP was concerned about the hazard posed by the bills that littered the interstate, according to KZI. Responding officers eventually convinced McCarthy to stop throwing the cash. The man told officials he had thrown about $200,000 from his vehicle, with the outlet reporting the more than money had been collected by 8 p.m. that evening.
Basically,
there was more stuff there. He's not criminally in charge, but I know there was more to this.
But anyways, yeah. So basically, he quote. I'm gonna say quote because technically he didn't really steal the money, but he did in a sense because it is a shared account. So it is their money. And it as someone who could have probably jumped out and grabbed a couple of the hundreds, it wouldn't have hurt because I know that money's lost. Like, people don't have to return it, as far as I've been hearing, because it was, quote, given away. The people who were, like, who this man was, like, blessing them with, they got a little bonus. And I know it was dangerous because I saw some videos of people walking out on the interstate, which is in itself dangerous alone. But take a few steps to get $500. I think I would take a quick just 5 minutes step out there for 500, maybe even
park yourself right in the center of the deadline, grab all that cash, just sit in the middle, you'll be fine.
But yeah, and then there's this whole conspiracy apparently that has been circulating that he didn't actually throw all 200,000. And he threw out because they're still because people aren't reporting the money. It's being conspiracized that he threw out probably 10 to 50,000, and he's squirming away 150K somewhere. So
there's also more to that story on him. He's actually was caught with owning weapons in his house, which he's not supposed to because he's on probation. It's a huge escalation from where he's at mentally, I think.
So yeah, it's devastating for the family for sure. But we wouldn't. It wouldn't have been bad for us to just like, take a little.
Well, if you get your Facebook lawsuit going on, you might get a couple $100 back.
This is cash now. Cash now. But yeah, I hope the best for this family because it's devastating when it comes with family stuff. When it comes to family things like this, and you're worried, basically their life savings, their family's life savings. That's a huge amount of money. 2K or 200K.
200K.
200K. I mean, thank you. That's like that.
That's like a nice downsized payment to a house, and not having to pay much on mortgage.
That's a lot. Mostly if it's like it was for their kids' colleges or rainy day funds or anything. It's like that is like devastatingly lost money. Like any amount of money is devastating amount, but that's definitely like
emotional damage.
Like for real. Any final thoughts on this one, Liz?
I feel sorry for the family that lost the money. I hope the guy who did it gets some sort of like slap on the wrist. Sucks, you know. Good on the people who got some extra money, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been so bad to get a little bit of that, you know. I'll be honest.
I know, right?
But yeah, let's go to the next one, where some people can never come back to normality. You know, when they leave a job or a career, and one person just like wanted to get back to that. So apparently an Air National gunman faces charges after applying to be a rentahitman.com hitman, let's say. So here we go. A 21-year-old Air National Guardsman faces federal charges after being arrested in connection with a murder for hire scheme. Josiah, I think that's how you say his name. Josiah Garcia, 21, of Hermitage, Tennessee, was charged last week with the uses of interstate facilities in the commission of murder for hire. According to federal authorities, the charges were filed after Garcia allegedly attempted to find work as an assassin on
rentahitman.com,
which is a spoof site which includes the ability to apply to be a hitman. So it was just a joke. Originally, I looked into this. It was just a website someone made to be a goof, or like you want to hire a hitman? Here we go here. Or do you want to work as a hit? It's funny, right? It's a fun, goofy.
It's like an April Fool's joke almost, per se. I feel like April was a joke.
And apparently the parody website included fake testimonies about customers' experience and say how do you have testimonials? As they say, the company is 100% HIPAA compliant, joking it stands for Hitman Information Privacy and Protection Act of 1964. Oh my God, they even had good jokes. That's a good joke. I love it.
I mean, like HIPAA, I was like, wait, the Health Insurance Privacy Act?
No,
not the wrong one.
No, wrong one. The Hitman Information Privacy Protection Act.
Bruh.
According to federal attorneys, Garcia began searching for contract missionary jobs earlier this year to make money for his family. Noble. The Department of Justice, the DOJ, said Garcia applied to be a hitman on the site, submitting a resume that touts his employment as a National Guard, indicating that his nickname was Reaper for his marksmanship. An undercover FBI agent has been communicating with Garcia, setting up a plan for Garcia to kill someone for $5K. Wow, I did not know is that cheap too.
Pretty low.
Yeah, you would think. Damn, like why aren't people hiring more hitmen if that's that cheap? Garcia should have known that was that was a trap. Like $5K. Actually,
You
Garcia
probably said easy money.
she should have gone for 10K minimum. And then expenses, 10K plus expenses. Like bullets are expensive.
I could believe that. And one of my good friends, who's excellent marksmanship. She's a great person. She has a lot of guns because that's her thing. She was talking about how bullets are very, very expensive.
Oh yeah, they're pretty pricey.
Yeah, I'm having to trade.
Okay,
and then people are buying them off me. I was like, oh.
Hey, that little way to make you a little extra cash later. Garcia met with the agent at a park in Tennessee, given a fictional target, and was provided a down payment of $2,500. That's not bad. Okay. And said at the press release that the attorney office basically got caught. So it's funny to see how ridiculous some of these things are when
He's desperate. He wants his money.
Well, I get it. When you're trying to support your family, and he wanted to do something in his line of work, basically.
Essentially.
If like I said, like some people just can't get away from that type of work. It's hard. It takes a certain type of people for sure. And there's been studies and things like that people in different military groups, not just in our country, like they try to get these like quote like psychotic people to join the military because they are the people that are willing to do what needs to be done. And then when they're trained up, and then they come back to society, normal society, they just can't cope. This might be me just speculating, but there's been some studies, and there's been some cases where you see some ex-military people do stuff just because they just can't come back to normal society because they're just so accustomed to being on the quote the edge, I would say. Not to disrespect some of our military people, but some people, just can't handle normal society.
No, right? Crazy.
Like, we're barely surviving. We're everyday normal people.
Mentally, I've been gone for the last 3 years. I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, it's funny in the sense where I'm glad no one got hurt, but it's really weird because there are real hitmen out there that do get really hit, like do get hired, and like here's one case where someone did have the almost had a chance to hire someone. Like if he got into the right places at the right time, he probably could have been a legitimate hitman, earning some cash, but it's weird that this is where we're at in the world with like your everyday person, because he's pretty young. He was a young individual, just in his early 20s, barely able to drink, and now he's gonna be in jail for a couple of years and without his family now. Like what he was trying to do for his family.
Years, I think they said up to 10 years.
That's a chunk of your life. That's definitely a chunk of your life. Yeah, I think we've had a discussion about this, like what would be the minimum amount of imprisonment that you would be willing to do. And like I said, this is behind a bonus episode, but like imprisonment overall is a chunk of time away from society, from every day. Because I remember I was listening to a podcast where they had a guest who was gone for 4 years, and that's a good chunk of time. That's like a high school generation. But if you think how much time has moved so fast in 4 years, this person was getting used to YouTube, smartphones, and just like some of the streaming services, because that wasn't in his time when he ended up in jail. Like
that's crazy. You think about it, in our lifetime, the amount of us millennials had to really flex to kind of grow up to learn how to use these systems like computers. They were just starting out as kids for us, and we were learning how to type and doing basic stuff on Microsoft and whatnot. And the fact that we have beyond that, we didn't have cell phones. I mean, technically there were cell phones, but they were big, bulky ass things that only made phone calls out. And now our phones are like mini computers. It's a craziness if you think about it, how quickly in our times, in our lifetimes, so much has transformed.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
It's think about it, from when I was born to, because I'm a couple years older than you, to now. It is just mind blowing.
It's an explosion. It is
really. It had explosive enough of technology in such a small. I feel like even though it is relatively, think about how many years I've been on this planet, how relatively small of time how quickly that exploded. You know what I mean?
Damn, Liz is about to go into like weed talk right now. But yeah, it's true. It's true. It's one of those things where it's fascinating to just get the concept, because all the things that we see, some of the things like man, those kids are gonna have such a blast with so many cool techs. Like if we're old enough, at this point, if you're healthy enough, you can live to a good chunk. Not that the average lifespan has increased slightly, not greatly, but a good chunk. If you're healthy and stay healthy enough without some
Only in
random...
America that ours is down compared to the rest of the world. Okay, just remember that.
True. Actually, you never in America. Apparently, you can just get shot if you end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I don't know. Our lifespan seems like get cuts really short so fast at this point.
I know, right?
So yeah,
Here
maybe
today, on tomorrow.
at this point, right? Or maybe I shouldn't be saying that. So yeah, but it's interesting because I know at this moment, like my nephew, he's already growing up with a tablet in his hand, knowing how to do all that stuff. Where I still have
That's what I did with my daughter, because I was like, I know this is going to be the world. This is going to be the way things are going to go. I'm letting her learn, and it's. I had some cousins who are right around our age too, and they are only limited so much time on TV and electronics. And I'm like, I think they're gonna have a hard time making it in this world, because the world is just, it's in the palm of your hand, literally.
Yeah, it's one of the things I like. And I respect that. You know, different parents do different things. But
I get respect it too. But at some point, you're gonna have to go. These kids are gonna need to learn how to thrive on this stuff. This is how life is going to be going forward.
Exactly. Because yeah, that is literally the future. That is the future.
I mean, honestly, and granted, having my daughter have that opportunity as a young kiddo to do that also prepared her for when she had to go online school when it was on an iPad.
Shit. Okay. There you go. Okay. There's one more story or one video, and we're going to be hearing Phil again. So give us 1 second, everyone. Can you see that? Okay. And we're back. All right. We're going to be hearing about this $1 billion claim.
Imagine having your insurance claim denied in just 1.2 seconds. Your life, your future, decided in an instant. Well, welcome to Cigna's world, where an algorithm decides the fate of hundreds of thousands of claims, putting profits over people. And here's the thing. We already know insurance companies fuck us hard. But I promise you that by the end of this story, you're going to want some healthcare to remove your foot from someone's ass. Right? And that's because ProPublica and the Capital Forum investigated how one of the nation's largest insurers, Cigna, decides whether to approve or deny policy claims. Typically, the way that it's supposed to work is that claims go into the insurance system, get screened by a nurse, and then reviewed by a medical director. And that's because many state laws require doctors to review each individual claim before insurers reject them on medical grounds.
That's always interesting because I always see those like envelopes in the background so much. And like, this all sounds like a lot of paperwork.
But it's our files too. Don't forget that. Some of it's our files.
Okay.
And that's because many state laws require doctors to review each individual claim before insurers reject them on medical grounds, which means examining patient records, going over coverage policies, and generally using their professional judgment. It's meant to be thorough and fair. And for small, low-cost claims, the company usually just pays them out because it's just not worth the time and money it takes to review them. But what if you didn't review the claims and just denied them anyway? Well, reportedly, that's exactly what Cigna's been doing for over a decade now, using an algorithm that automatically denies claims with a mismatch between the diagnosis and tests or treatments for the diagnosis that the company considers acceptable. Then the company's medical directors just sign off on all the denials in one big batch, deeming them all medically unnecessary, with one former doctor saying, "We literally click and submit. It takes all of 10 seconds to do 50 at a time."
You gotta love that. You gotta love it when like, I'm just saving time by just like deny. Like one of those stamps. Deny. Deny. Deny.
Oh, you need that life-saving surgery? No. Boop.
Not covered. Pay us 100,000. Done. That is ridiculous.
Oh, you need a cancer treatment? No.
No, we don't cover that. Denied.
Former doctor saying, "We literally click and submit. It takes all of 10 seconds to do 50 at a time." So in just 2 months last year, Cigna doctors rejected over 300,000 claims using this system and spending an average of just 1.2 seconds on each case. And this has squeezed fat stacks out of the company's policyholders, with Dr. Alan Mooney, the guy who created the system for Cigna, saying it undoubtedly saved the firm billions of dollars. And a former executive saying, "Put yourself in the shoes of the insurer. Why not just deny them all and see which ones come back on appeal? From a cost perspective, it makes sense." And adding, insurers are very good at knowing when they can deny a claim and patients will grumble, but will still write a check, which it turns out is very true. In one document, Cigna estimated that only 5% of people actually appeal a denial from the algorithm.
So, like, because some people will do that. If they get denied, like, they go, oh, well, I can't do anything about it. I'm stuck with this bill, right? But yeah, people forget that you can appeal.
Yeah, because it's written on everything you get back from your insurance companies, or the actual doctor's office. You can appeal the claim if you don't feel like that's appropriate. I get that all the time. Like, I see it in my thing. Oh, but a lot of the times I don't need to appeal it because I'm like, okay, there's nothing further that I need to go further with it. Anyways, here we go, moving on.
Exactly. But here's the thing is, sometimes, like, they don't have the knowledge you do, like your everyday people. So this is a little note for you listeners. Like, if you get denied, try to appeal. Like, it is within your policy to do it. It helps a lot in the long run. Because like I said, we make the joke that we basically are Americans are basically people who are in debt until they die at this point.
Exactly.
And
honestly, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
No, I just think it's true. I think people would rather be in debt than, be confrontational. I guess that's how we get some Karens in the world, right? And Kevin's. Anywho, honestly, people, if you feel like that should be covered by your insurance company, ask them, do it. It's not a biggie. People would, you have every right to go, hey, this doesn't seem right. I should be covered. I paid an extra premium because this is what, I expected this to happen this year, or I'm paying extra because I have extra health problems. Let's continue. Like, let's go, right?
And don't be one of these forms where you are just a 1 second click.
And while that may sound low, and it is low, it's still relatively high for the industry, with one study finding that patients under the Affordable Care Act appeal less than 0.2% of the time, and insurers uphold about 60% of those denials. And then for those who do appeal, it's a fucking nightmare, as one guy who was insured under Cigna found out, telling reporters he was experiencing pain in his bones, so his doctor used a blood test to determine he was vitamin D deficient, with that costing $350. But when Cigna mailed him a letter refusing to cover it on grounds that it wasn't medically necessary, he couldn't believe it, saying this was a clinical decision being second-guessed by someone with no knowledge of me. So being a physician himself, he appeals the denial, and a second Cigna doctor reviewed the case but stood by the initial rejection, explaining that because the patient had not been previously diagnosed with a vitamin D deficiency, the test was unnecessary, which raises the obvious fucking question, how is he supposed to have a diagnosis before he got tested for the thing that he needed the diagnosis of?
Exactly. Like,
exactly.
How do we know? How do we charge you? How do we accept your charge if we don't know? Like, oh, you have cancer. We can't, okay, well, you want to get treated, checked for cancer? Okay, but we weren't going to charge you for any of that, even though we find out with all those tests that you do have cancer. You still got to pay for all the cancer tests, even though, like, ridiculous, where to the point where the things that were supposed to, or your checkups, the things that are supposed to try to keep you healthy are not the things that keep you healthy. So you can stay healthy.
Because they don't run the blood work. They don't run, it depends if you have a PCP that will do that kind of stuff for you. But honestly, it's like every time I go for a checkup, it's usually not the right checkup. So, think about it, guys. Yeah.
It is ridiculous just hearing that this is a physician.
Some of this stuff that Cigna denied me back in when I had Cigna, when we had Cigna. I don't know if you remember when we had Cigna.
I don't, honestly, but it's been the past 10 years. So basically, as long as we've known, longer than we've known each other.
I've had Ursula basically, and I'm very sure they denied me a lot of stuff. And I'm glad I had secondary insurance because I was like not being able to afford any of the shit that would have been medical debt.
All right, let's continue.
And so at that point, he's just baffled, and he takes us to an independent reviewer who, shocker, after looking at the case, said, hey, the test was in fact necessary. But this entire hassle took over 7 months over just a few $100s, and it may not have actually worked out in his favor at all if the patient himself wasn't a doctor. Now, in response to all this, Cigna argues that the system actually helps patients since it enables the company to fast-track payments for approved claims. One former executive said that doesn't actually make sense, saying they were paying all these claims before, then they weren't. You're talking about a system built to deny claims. Plus, the list of treatments and tests that aren't covered for different different diagnoses can be somewhat arbitrary. Right? In 2014, Cigna made a presentation weighing the pros and cons of adding another procedure to the list: autonomic nervous system testing. It can help tell if a patient suffers from nerve damage caused by diabetes or a variety of autoimmune diseases. And it only costs a few $100s, which Cigna has been paying out for every single claim without question. But by adding the procedure to the list, it would deny almost 18,000 claims and save about $2.5 million per year, according to estimates. So sure enough, those greedy fucks threw it on the list. But also understand, this is a problem that goes way beyond just Cigna. Right? Health insurers deny millions of claims every year, be it for surgeries, visits to the ER, or life-saving treatments and prescriptions. Meanwhile, the 6 largest private health insurers in 2021 raked in more than $40 billion in profits. And
Look at that. They're rich. They're rich, Liz.
insurance executives say systems akin to the algorithm used by Cigna have existed throughout the industry, with Mooney saying his group made a similar one for United Health so it could deny claims in bulk. And claim denials have become an even more pronounced issue for many people since the pandemic began, because right now you have up to 4 million full-time workers out of the labor force due to long COVID. And for some, the care that they need to manage their chronic symptoms has forced them into medical debt, often because their claims are denied by insurance companies who are wary of paying for treatments that they don't know will work for an illness that's still poorly understood. And a paper last year actually estimated that long COVID could cost an individual $9,000 on average per year. But these types of denials aren't the only way that companies are squeezing you dry, with the New York Times investigation last year finding that major health insurers boost their profits by billions of dollars with the oldest trick in the fucking book: fraud. And at the center of this scheme is the Medicare Advantage program, a private sector alternative to traditional Medicare, where the federal government pays insurers for each patient who enrolls, with higher payments for sicker patients. Right? As of that time, it was on track to enroll more than half of all Medicare beneficiaries this year. So the companies devised every method they could imagine to make patients appear as sick as humanly possible on paper without providing any more actual treatment. This includes Kaiser gifting bottles of champagne or cash bonuses to doctors who found enough diagnoses and patient records. Or it could look like Anthem, now called Elevance Health, paying more to doctors who said that their patients were sicker. Or how about United Health, the country's largest insurer, telling its workers to mine old medical records for more illnesses, and when they couldn't find enough, just sending them back to try again. With shit like this, inflating the bills for 8 of the 10 biggest insurers in the program, plus 4 of the 5 biggest to face federal lawsuits for fraud. So basically, Medicare Advantage was initially meant to reduce.
Damn, you gotta love fraud now. You just gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta.
I just like the person's, healthy as a horse, but we're gonna find some medical illnesses wrong with them.
It's. Yeah, and then people wonder.
Honestly, it almost makes me wonder when I look at somebody's profile, those diagnosis codes are correct.
Yeah, you just.
Who input those ones? I'm assuming it wasn't I don't know. I have no clue. They probably were told to by the insurance company to put that in their profile. But honestly, it makes me wonder.
Bruh.
Oh my
It makes
God.
me wonder.
Reduce healthcare costs by privatizing the system, and instead, prices just shot past those of the government program that it displaced. Right? Instead of competing to provide the best care, insurers are competing to see who can better game the system, and the cost to the taxpayers is massive, with the additional diagnoses leading to $12 billion in overpayments in 2020 alone, according to one estimate. But we're talking about an amount of money that's enough to cover hearing and vision care for every American over 65.
Enough money to cover hearing and vision care for the American populace. And I think this is going back to the whole Mr. Beast controversy a little bit, where here is a potential option right here. The ability to basically cover hearing and vision for every American, making that a quote, even at a very low percentage. What is it? Copayment? What is it called? Fuck. Copay. Like $25 copay. And you get hearing and vision care. There's the money right there, but it's like.
Fine.
Do you have anything to say or just continue?
I just continue. I can and I cannot fathom this shit. This is stuff is flabbergasting.
Okay, it's almost over.
An amount of money that's enough to cover hearing and vision care for every American over 65. But ultimately, I think where I'm going to end this story, 2 notes. 1, the more we talk in detail about stories like this, the more I think maybe Tyler Durden had some good ideas. And 2, if you or someone you know is one of the unlucky people who are getting letters denying them coverage, please appeal that bullshit. They are counting on you not. And in the meantime, if some fucking smart people can do something with all the emerging AI to make it just as easy for the people that are getting fucked by these companies to fight back with their appeals and making it easy for more and more people to do so, that would be amazing, because these rich, greedy fucks have just for so long been fucking around, and they deserve to find out. And then...
Okay. Give us one moment, everyone. So yeah, it is wild.
I'm not surprised. I'm not, like, I feel like this is America. This is what they're gonna do. I mean, we're one of the ones, you know. Actually, side note, I don't know. There is somebody on TikTok who would talk about Cigna denying claims. Apparently, it was a doctor himself. I don't know if he still is a practicing doctor, but yes, or he happened to know about these. I don't know what it was, but he would talk about these, and I just my eyes just got big, and I was like, holy crap. I don't know if he brought in to highlight what was going on by Cigna, because he talked about Cigna all the time, about these diagnosis codes and stuff like that, and I just wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to America, y'all. Welcome to America. You sure you want to be here? You get shot tomorrow.
The thing is, it's still a lot safer than a lot of other countries. I'll be honest. It's still, yeah. We might be starting to do more international stories, but those, when you get into those, man, it's bad out there. That's why people still try to come to America. Maybe don't bring your kids to America though. At this point,
I know, right? Let them fend for themselves.
But yeah, it is like what Philip DeFranco mentioned. If you get denied appeal, that's the worst they'll say is no again, right? At least try, because don't end up with so much medical debt. You don't, like, at least me and Liz have some understanding to what we're dealing with. Liz a little bit more. I know very little bit, but I know enough where I'm not gonna get fucked over. Like, I owe medical stuff, but not to the outrageous amount that is some of these crazy stuff. Like, it's a good chunk of money. It's gonna take a little bit of payoff, but it's not gonna take me my lifetime. It's not gonna take my lifetime.
We don't need $9,000 a year. Jesus, who has an extra $9,000 a year? I mean, especially those with limited income, aka our 65 and older crew. Or retirees on limited income.
And the thing is, the sad thing is, when I speak with some people at work that are in the older generation that quote want to retire, when we're talking and quote joking, it sometimes get to that weird serious moment where they're like, I can't retire at age 67, 65. It's because it's not feasible in this economy. And it's things like this that it happens, and it's like, we joke, but then it just gets to that weird, like, we're about to cross the line where it's like joking to reality, and it's just sad now.
Now, how many people I have actually alone in my workplace sort of over 65? I mean, talking in like 70s, in their 70s, still working. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Like, talk about your golden years, your do whatever your retirement. That's not a thing anymore. Not a thing anymore. Unless you're like part of that. What is it? I think it's the 5%. Like, I think, because it's like, it's not even the 1%. It's like there's a point, like 0.02% that own like all the cash in the world. Like, I own like 90% of the money in the world. Like I think it's like 135 people own 90% of all the money in the world. And then divide the rest, the other 10% around to everyone else. And yeah, it is
crazy.
But yeah, we'll leave that in there. Like I said, it is disappointing. If you were a Cigna, is that right? Cigna, yeah.
Cigna, Kaiser,
anything,
Mana,
just
Elevance Health. Well, I mean, they're the top ones right now. They're actually going to get charged with fraud. So
yeah,
right now,
they were
we'll
mentioning,
see what the other ones come up with. But seriously,
if you get denied, appeal it. Like, that's the least you can do, because don't end up with an exorbitant amount of medical debt. Like it does take money to stay healthy, to be honest, but it shouldn't take literal arm and a leg to do it. Okay, it shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think those are our final thoughts on that. Is that right, Liz?
Nope. I think you said it
all right, then.
clear.
we're going to be getting to our final discussion, our Am I the Asshole story. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, we're trying to get to 100 follows on Spotify. We're trying to get to 500 subscriptions on YouTube. If you can help us out, that's fantastic. As far as Spotify, we're halfway to the 100. Getting to the 100 on Spotify would help us as far as a podcast in the listening form spectacularly. Getting to 500 is our end year goal for YouTube, and we have been slowly creeping up to all our new listeners. So thank you for those who are watching us on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube, help us on Spotify. Just follow us there. And if you're listening to Spotify and you're not following, follow. It will help us out. And if you're a listener, subscribe to us on YouTube too. You know, it helps us out a lot. And
I appreciate it when you guys do it.
And like I said, it's free, simple, easy. But don't forget to also pick up our new inspirational shirt, the first of the year, the first of 2023. We have
morbid, but so true.
So true. It's how morbid it is. That's the first one in what the stories we talked about.
It was fitting. It
is fitting. It
kind of lined up. I'm not gonna lie.
So it is. So yeah, we have 2 more. We'll be announcing those later. Remember, it's going to be out for 5 weeks. Probably there'll be an exact date somewhere. We'll have probably that, but it's probably the end of May. Will be the last time you'll be able to get the first forgiveness shirt. But yeah, get it. I'm going to be ordering mine soon, and you'll be seeing me wear it. It looks fun, and it's sadly true in this day and age. And we came with these like early in the year, and God,
shit, that's following verbatim.
All right, then let's jump into the final story here. Yeah, I'll let you read this one, Liz.
All right, post it. What was the number on the die when you rolled?
Numero 1. We've been getting number 1s recently, or like top 3. We've been getting top 3s in the last couple. So this is number 1. This one.
All right. Hold on, it's opening it. It's being slow. All right. Am I the asshole for telling my 28 fiance, 29, that I cannot rely on her in a life or death situation?
Interesting.
But it's true. You kind of have to know what you're getting yourself into when you go into these relationships of marriage. Just saying.
True. If you're overall, it's like there's like certain. I think this would be an interesting discussion later. We could do as a bonus, like come up with situations like, would I be willing to trust Liz in this situation? Yes or no?
He would.
I don't know.
100%, guys. Come on, 100%, guys.
If I'm being,
I want to be on the fence.
If I'm being crushed by a car, Liz, you're not getting me out of a car. I'm fucked. You're not. Yeah, I'm fucked at that point.
Bye, Jesus. I love you.
Like, fuck. I'm being crushed. All right. Let's see what situation were they theoretically doing?
Yeah, I have what I think is a very good sense of situational awareness. I'm a quick thinker and tend to not panic in dangerous situations. My fiance, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. If I'm being nice, I would say she doesn't have any awareness of dangers. If I'm honest, I would say that she has the survival instinct of a panda raised in captivity.
What I like, this person has some really good analogies. I like that. I really like that.
Good sense of humor too. She has no sense of danger around her, doesn't constantly examine her surroundings for things that could be dangerous, and when things are bad, her reaction is to panic and scream.
Oh my God. Hopefully they don't live in America.
I feel like a pussy girl when I hear that. I'm like, oh.
Please, I hope this person does not live in America. They will not survive much longer outside in this day and age.
I know. All right. Friday, we went out on a friend of mine's boat, and we got into a dangerous situation. We were anticipating light rain, but we ended up having a downpour, high winds, and high waves. While me and the other men were trying to strap things down and keep the boat from capsizing, my fiance screamed and cried for dear life. She was in hysterics, and I get it was a very scary situation, but yelling and screaming that we're all gonna die for God to save us, and literally crying, saying that it's my fault that she's on this boat since I asked her to come with. None of the other girlfriends' wives were doing this. Just her. I'm sure that the other women were just scared and just trying to keep it in for the sake of the men doing something about it. I think I'd be
That's
like
under
those
again
ones.
at that point.
I feel like
at
I'd be one of those men to be like, "Hey, tell me what to do. I'll help. Just
like
guide me."
I understand the severity. It's scary in any situation. It's scary, but this seems a little extreme. From at least he described her a little bit. Okay, continue.
The downpour was really bad for about 15 minutes. So the 15 minutes of wailing while we were doing everything we could do to keep things all right, we made it back with a little more damage than a few spilled White Claws. On the car ride home, I told my fiance that we needed to talk about how she was behaving during the crisis. Not only was it incredibly embarrassing in front of my boys, but it was distracting, unhelpful, and telling. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I told her that today proved me that I was in a life or death situation. I could not rely her to be any help or do anything except make more things stressful. I said she needed to learn how to not panic and be helpful. Got unbelievably mad. She said she thought she was going to die and had the reason to freak out. I told her all of us were scared, but none of us were ridiculous as she was. We argued the entire ride home, and she's still pissed off at me. I think I might say this, especially since we plan on spending our lives together and raising a family, and I can't be the only one level-headed one here.
Okay, so there is
Asshole.
an edit. There's an edit. So, but we'll wait. We'll talk about that in a second. Overall, yeah, like it's understandable to be in the moment, depending on. Here's a question: do you feel, in your honest opinion, how would you handle? There's different levels of severity in situation, but on a high situation, what do you think you would? How do you see yourself during a situation? Or no,
Depends on the situation. Okay, so it depends on the situation. So the boat instance.
Yeah, we'll use this. We'll use this boat instance.
I would probably try and figure out how I can help. Whether tell me what to do, I will help however you want me to help. And honestly, if it means stepping out and being out of the way, I will do that gladly. I don't think I'd be like I would slightly panic. I think we all would have a panic, right? I think we're on a situation, but I don't think I'll be like her. I'd be like, tell me what to do, what you need me done. Oh, you need me to stop that down. All right, sounds good. I'll go ahead and take care of that, right? Rope, whatever it needs to be done, right? In that situation. Oh, you need me to step out of the way. I'm not being helpful. Fine. Tell me, where would you like me to be so I'm not in the way?
Okay.
What was that? That's how I am. That's how you guide me. Tell me what to do. I'm right there. Just, I don't lose my head or my cool. I just go, okay, the situation. Where do you want me to go?
That because if that was yourself in a hospital setting, my God, dude, that would be a really rough hospital.
I mean, so what if, some of these hospital situations are a little bit, could be in like a level 1 trauma. You can't lose your cool.
Exactly. Exactly. I would see I've been in quote, we've said this in the show. I've been in multiple accidents, car accidents. And for the most part, I'm very rational. I think the adrenaline helps a lot during those moments because I get into this weird, what is it called? I get in the zone basically, and I read the situation and try to figure out what the fuck's happening. No matter what, I haven't been quote injured, but I've been hurt in some of these accidents to not nothing too, like I said, hurt, not injured, to where I'm still capable of doing stuff. I might be in some pain, but the adrenaline's keeping all that down to an extent, and I'm able to read the situation. But for the most part, in these quote, when I'm in the zone, I'm trying to figure out what's happening, and kind of direct all what needs to be done depending on who's around me. In this situation, I know for sure it is panic in the moment because one, you're out on the sea. No, I think so. We'll say the sea for now. It's scary. There are other people's lives in the moment, and you're worried about that. But then there's that moment. It's okay, what can you do yourself to help this situation to make it? Because those 15 minutes could feel like hours in that focus state, because you just, and having that outside force, having that individual just be that screaming NPC in the background, like, we're gonna die, we're gonna die. it just elevates the stress level to everyone, to be like,
Yeah,
honest.
no kidding. That kind of energy will definitely put the stress out. I mean, I think about that all the time.
So
it doesn't help. It doesn't help when you panic like that. Okay, what do? Like screaming and crying does not help. Any situation makes it worse.
and here's the thing, like, if you bring this up to it as a discussion, like he did to his partner here, like maybe it wasn't the best thing to bring it up immediately, but like bring it up when they got home, like, hey, you know, like that was a really bad moment for all of us, you know, like how do you feel, like I wish you were a little bit more, you need a bit, because it is putting them in the spot, but you have to, like, hey, we're going to be living our lives together, like we need to be a little bit more level-headed. Like there is a spectrum where there's level-headedness, and you can like be in a situation where like you have to have some sense of danger to be able to, like, okay, I need to leave this situation and not stay permanently, to no common sense, and just like screaming and crying your balls out, and you're just about to die no matter what. You can be somewhere in the middle, or maybe further to common sense. And she just has to, like, how old is she?
She's 28,
29. 28 is the individual,
the OP.
So 29. At 29, you should, at this point, you should have some. It's so disappointing. Like, in I was listening to the show where, like, people kind of gauge, like, your 20s should be the time where you're exploring who you are in yourself in the world, and when you're getting to your 30s, you should have some semblance of who you are at that point. Like, I'm in my early 30s, but I'm still trying to figure out, but I have an idea who I am at this point and who I want to be. But and in my 20s, for sure, I was like trying to discover who that person was, with gaining some like experience. But I think in my early teens to early 20s, I was like, I need to know, like, in certain situations that I'm not going to be like fucked, or put the people around me who are going to get fucked, you know?
Honestly, it's funny because I honestly handled the situation when my father passed away, as being like the oldest in the household at the time. My mom was out of town. It kind of brings me back to this, like, how do you handle that situation? Like, I was crying, of course, because it was a stressful situation and a very, disheartening moment in my life. I think that actually kind of grew me up a lot faster than most people. So that, okay, I was consoling and then directing at the same time. Like, I was doing like 2 stories, but I couldn't do the third where, like, okay, I can't man this completely. Come on, help me out here. Like, I was hoping for the other sibling who's younger than me to help with the situation. And of course, I had to guide that person and do, take care of the situation at hand of, consoling the youngest. So honestly, I feel like, this is kind of a situation where you can't really. Yes, it was a sad moment. I cried, I screamed, and then I, adjust and reevaluate and kind of go, okay, I'm the oldest. I got to start handling the situation. And I think it still guides me today, like how I maneuver the situations nowadays. So
I think also that's also an interesting. There's just from my perspective, also as older, and I'm one of the oldest siblings. That also one of the things, like, you kind of get that you have to handle situations a little bit more to take care of the youngers. But that's just our perspectives. There's others who don't. But that's from our perspectives. So let's see this edit. I'll read the edit here. Oh my fucking God. The women there did not help because they did not know how to help. The men have been out together on the boat countless times before, so we are experienced and know exactly what to do. So it's much more unsafe for them to be in our way attempting to help if they don't really know what they're doing. It's safer for everyone just to hang on and keep calm until the issue is resolved. This has nothing to do with them being women. Oh, there must be comments about, like, why weren't the women helping or anything. That makes sense. Don't, like you mentioned earlier, if you don't know what you're doing, best to be out of the way. Like, I like how this comment has become like a sexist thing now. Like, the boys were doing it. Like, if someone's been out on boats, if like I've I would say I can count on my hand how many times I've been on a boat. If I was told to if they asked me to do something, I would do it. If they say like I don't know what I'm doing, like it's just like get out of the way. Like all right, I'll just stay out of the way. like that's the thing. It's like if you're an individual,
it's the people who have been experienced and those are inexperienced. So you kind of take with the people who have experience of what they're going to do in the situation compared to the people who are inexperienced. So.
Exactly. At this point, yeah. So we'll take the edit. The edits doesn't matter because there's just the people being stupid about just a sexist comment, probably. It's just it's best just to like, hey, it's all about experience and just kind of trying to deal with the situation as best as can. Here's my question, actually. Do you think high school should have like this weird situation classes where people are giving situation and see how they can handle different things? Nothing too.
Would it be a bad idea, or even in an early college? You know, I think that because you're still technically a teenager when you go into college. But I think it's great. I think it would be no. Think about it. It depends on if the curriculum can handle it, right? So, because if you're in your teens or your early teen or later teens, you have this idea. So, but if you were given that class, I think it would be definitely beneficial to kind of figure out who I am and where I'm going with my life. Am I the level-headed one or the one with the chicken head off? You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I having a class, a situational class, where like you're like here, and then you can just give basically problem solving. It's basic problem solving in a sense, but in more quote extreme. Because I think learning to be a little bit level-headed helps a lot in the long run during during just discussions. Because sometimes, even in discussions, you kind of have to have this level-headedness as well. Because sometimes people can get really riled up, like actually in this comment section, apparently.
Yeah, the comments have been hilarious reading all these stuff. I think I like GT 105U, so there's a lot better.
Read it out.
Not sure you handle delivery well, but it's a fair concern. If you have children, she cannot freak out every time she's scared. Unfortunately, she's probably learned this from her parents, and will pass this would pass this on. Not the actual through delivery sounds flawed. Would have worked on it. There's probably an apology needed there. You may need counseling on this, but ultimately it probably would never change you. You just need to decide if it impacts your long-term plans.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah, that's a good one. Good job on that. I think that they did the best to explain it. Delivery for sure. I think I mentioned that earlier too. It was a little off, but overall, yeah. You want to have a partner who will be there with you. If they're shaken, you help them. If you're shaken, vice versa.
Yeah. Okay. You need to have somebody. Yeah, a good balance. Yeah. So, one of the stories, like when you're nervous and freaking out, I'm the level head. When it's vice versa, I'm doing the same for you. I've heard that was one of the references I was reading. Had in one of my shows that my mom and I watched together. So I think that really sounds off what's going on here in the situation. So
okay. So any final thoughts as far as this?
Not the asshole. I agree that you need to have somebody. There has to be a trade-off, level-headedness and not so level-headedness, but not at the point where you're freaking out like a little teenage girl.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for laughing and enjoying some of these stories with us. Hope you enjoyed watching or listening to these. Let us know how you are situationally. And like I said, like and follow on YouTube and Spotify. It will help us out drastically. Help us get to that 100 on Spotify. Help us to get to 500 on YouTube.
Those videos you guys have been asking for.
it will help us greatly. Don't forget to pick up your the first inspirational shirt of 2023. It's only going to be out for 5 weeks. But yeah, everyone, thanks again for listening or watching. Until next time, see ya.
Bye.
promise, I swear, that I will never leave.